Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Hands, speaker, podcaster, and your personal hype woman, Amanda YOA, is in the building. I've been waiting for this one. I love your energy. It is infectious. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. What a powerful intro.
That's how we do it here. But
Yes.
the Pennsylvania connection is speaking. Like, I love that we heard each other and we both knew our accents, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Oh
I'm like,
man,
wait a minute. You sound like something.
you sound a little familiar."
Yeah. Yeah. So
Pennsylvania's
awesome.
in the building. I love it. I'm Pittsburgh, you're Philly. What I also love about you so much is this, that it's important to you to be everybody's hype woman. Is that
Mm.
ever exhausting, or why is that important to you?
Uh, you know, eh, I guess it could be exhausting. At one point it was exhausting in my life, let me tell you, because I would pour into so many people, and I used to hear it all the time from my friends and my family, like, you give such good advice, and but I never took my own advice, right? Like the
Yeah.
shit I was telling people to do, I was like not really practicing what I was preaching. And
Yep.
although it was like great advice, and I was like this wise old owl, which is like I don't know if you see this. I have
Yeah,
an
she
owl
has an owl,
tattoo.
a beautiful owl tattoo on the shoulder. Love.
Yes, I love owls. But I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. So, now I come from a place of walking the walk with the talk that I talk,
Mhm.
and, kind of pouring into myself so that I can pour into others.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
hard to make that discretion sometimes because we want to be there for everybody to to our own detriment.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I balance this? I'm still working on that at 34 years old. I'm still trying to figure out like
Mm.
where the line is for that. I want to talk about something else too. You
Yeah.
went, I read this, from 300 pounds to a much healthier version of yourself today. How did you do it? What was the motivation? That's incredible.
Yeah. You know what? Um, a- that journey was so let me backtrack. I was like tipping the scale at like 300. Your girl was big, and no, love to all the thick girls. I'm still a thick girl. I'm a size 12, so I keep it thick. I am thick,
Same, same.
right? But I thought after I had my kids, losing weight was always a struggle for me,
Mm,
and call it genetics and what have you. It was just always hard, and I had such a horrible relationship with the gym. I tried every diet under the sun, every supplement, every pill that there was. I was taking it, I was doing it. I was to the point where I killed my metabolism completely. Like, I got
ooh,
to a point, yeah, I had both my kids, and I was, after I had my son, I was so tired. I was starting to get achy. I realized I wasn't getting any younger, and I needed to make a change. I'm like, I want to run around with my kids. Growing up, I was an athletic person. I played basketball, I played soccer, I played softball. So for me to be that big, it was not who I was. And I got to a point in my life where I started working on myself. Like, I worked on my mindset. I worked on, overcoming trauma and just like getting at this place of peace. And who I was on the inside was not reflective on the outside. Right. And I
mm,
think that's an important thing to bring up. Losing weight is always an inside job first. I think a lot of people think when I lose 100 pounds or when I do this, then I'll be able to feel this, and this. It was when I accepted myself as I was that I was able to start making moves to make changes and live a healthier lifestyle. So, like I mentioned, I kind of like killed my metabolism, and I went to doctors, and they were like, "You are poster child for bariatric surgery." And
mm.
a part of me was like, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm kind of like, is it cheating? And honestly, it really isn't. And everyone can have their opinion, right? Like, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
Yeah.
My take on it, and I've lived it and I've done it, it is not the easy way out at all.
Mm,
At all.
mhm.
There's a lot of like you have to go and see a psychologist. Like, you have to like go to like meetings and go to see someone and speak to them.
Oh, so wait, that TLC, wait, my 600-pound life is true. Like with Dr. Now, you need to be mentally ready before I approve you
Yes.
for surgery. Like there's a reason they do that because they
Yeah.
want you to stick with the process.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you don't, you're going to go right back to the way you were. It's
Mm.
simply just a tool. It's not a quick fix forever. Like I have only like a small portion of my stomach. So basically they just like chopped my stomach in half and made it smaller, right? So you have to learn like how to eat smaller portions, how to give your body what it needs. And that was a big adjustment for me. And you have to start that process before you even get the surgery. So I lost weight before I even got the surgery,
Oh, wow.
but I will tell you, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of mental work, but the best decision that I ever made for my life. I have not been more happier in my skin. You know, who I am on the inside is reflective on the outside. And I live a healthier lifestyle. Like I would never imagine eating the way that I eat now because I used to eat horribly. You know, I used to eat my feels a lot of the time. So I've learned how to come out of
Yeah.
that. Like I said, it's an inside job. That's
Yeah.
the important takeaway. You have to do the work on the inside. But yeah, here I am, the sexy goddess that I am now.
Period. Period.
But let
So
me tell you, that big girl, she was sexy too. Okay.
she was. We love our plus size baddies. We
That's
absolutely
right.
do. But if you want to make that change, if you're feeling like you want to make that change in your life, I absolutely heard from your story that the mindset is where to start. That's step
Yeah.
one on the journey. So therapy was involved in that. I'd love to dive
Mhm.
deeper into that. How else did you work on your mindset at that time?
You know, I created this story and I feel this is so relatable to so many people because we don't even realize that we create stories, right? But we do based on our experiences. And it's always comes from a place of lack and putting ourselves down. And I realized, I remember because I used to like I was in this like observation mode before I ever really like implement it. So I would
Mm,
like read the book and listen to the podcast and go on Pinterest and read and repin all the pins for myself. But I was like not really implementing those things, right? Because when you do that inner work, you have to face a lot of those inner demons and those dark things that we kind of like push down, right?
mhm,
And we mask through like eating like I did and many other ways that we do that. So, it's kind of like getting real with yourself. And
mhm,
for me, I would just got to a place in my life where I got tired of my own bullshit. And I remember
mm.
reading something where it was like you are the creator of your life. Like you have the control. And for the longest time I allowed these like experiences that I had and this narrative that I created about my life to rule the roost, to rule my life. And I just said to myself, because I always talk to myself, I'm like, Amanda, why don't we just start telling ourselves, why don't we? I do. I'm like, why don't we just start telling ourselves a story that enables us to set ourselves free and start living a life that's authentic to who we are and who we want to be. And I was like, you know what?
Period.
That's a great idea. Right. Like,
It
let's try
is.
that and see what happens. So I did. And, for me, my journey was unique. It'll be unique for every single person, but it's really being able to get real with yourself and addressing those things that you push down and suppress. You have to let them come up and let them be heard and have a conversation with them.
Sometimes I feel like a little bit of a psychopath because whenever I talk to myself, I use we as if there's like multiple of us.
No,
Like
same.
how you okay, so you use we when we're talking to ourselves. Like if I look at
Yeah.
myself in the mirror and I'm trying to hype myself up, I'll go, "Oh, we are not doing the bad vibes today. We are not doing the negativity today, or we're not doing this today." Like I'll refer to myself as we when I'm with the inner monologue. Do you do the same thing? How do you talk to yourself?
Yeah, all the time. I'm like, listen, this is what we're gonna do. Like
Makes
this
sense.
is yeah. What is happening right now? What do we need to do to fix it? Yeah, it's a lot of time, and that's a good thing to bring up because sometimes people don't like have those conversations with themselves.
No, not in that,
Um,
not with that phrasing. They'll say, "Oh, you need to blah blah blah, you blah 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 blah," like they're speaking to another individual that's separate from themselves. And I guess part of subconsciously why I use we and why you use we is because now we're talking to the whole being, the
right. And
whole, yeah.
you know what I want to say to that too? I think a lot of times it's we have to snap ourselves out. It's usually we're having this like pep talk with ourselves when we need to
Hmm.
snap ourselves out of our bullshit. So it's like that inner self, right? Like pointing at like the heart section, like your soul speaking to your mind, right? Because your mind
Mm.
is like the thing that, is created, the thoughts and all the things that you may be putting yourself down. Like that's that narrative up there. But that person inside here, she knows better, right? So in those moments, you have to let her come out. And I call it that quiet whisper that becomes a loud roar if we listen to her long enough. And
Mm.
she'll end up taking over and she'll tell the mind, like, okay, like this has been fun, but it really hasn't been the vibe. So you have a seat and I'm going to
You-
take over.
Facts. That realness is the cornerstone, the very foundation of your podcast. Give me all the dates on the podcast. It's wonderful to listen to. It's delicious.
Thank you. So it is Unzipped, which I just rebranded. I'm super excited. And to that, it's the evolution revolution, right? Like we're always evolving,
Yes.
we're always growing. It was staying inspired and it's just evolved, the last couple of years into where I said to myself, okay, like the staying inspired thing, Amanda, it's not like it's cute, but it's giving like soft dick energy. We need something that's like big dick energy. You know what I'm saying? So
Unzipped is sexy. Unzipped is pretty
unzip.
sexy. I was gonna say.
Right? It's a place where you can just let your hair down, unzip, let everything dangle, have real conversation. I call it like the best night out with your bestie that your ears will ever have. Like those pep
Mm.
talks in the girls' bathroom, the, let's chat about what's trending on social media. Do we agree with that or do we not? And I'm all about community and giving my community a voice. So I have like a hotline where people can call in with their questions, like, Amanda, I'm dating this guy. He's in his 60s. I'm in my 30s. My family's
Mm-mm.
not really digging it. What should I
Ooh.
do?
Oh, we got
So
thoughts
we
on that
have those.
one.
Yeah, we have like those open discussions too, and people can remain anonymous or put their name out there so they get a shout out. It's a fun time. Like I said, it's like that great night out with your girlfriends, that moment that you just need, that bowl of cereal and Saturday morning shows that we've all been thirsting for.
Yes. What was your Saturday morning cartoon show? Mine was usually Rugrats or like Animaniacs, something like that.
Um, what was my Saturday morning show?
I think Power Rangers was on PBS at some point too. Like all of them, really.
I'm gonna date myself. I'm a little older than you. So I'm 38. And you have to remember, well, you probably don't know this about me, so let me tell it. I'm like, you have to remember. I grew up with my grandparents and my aunts and uncles. My mom had
Okay.
me young. So I grew up in a household with a lot of Gen X and boomer
Uh huh.
influence.
Uh
So
huh.
my Saturday morning consisted of coming downstairs. We lived in this very small row home in Philly. I mean, you trip and you're falling out the back door.
Yeah.
And I would come down on Saturday and my grandma would be scrubbing the carpets religiously. She scrubbed the carpets with carpet spray every Saturday. So you woke up to the smell of carpet spray and the Al Albert showcase in the background. Now that's a
Okay.
very Philly thing. I don't know if they had that in Pittsburgh. I think it was like
No.
local to Philly. It was like a variety show. Al Alberts. He sings On the Way to Cape May.
Oh, he's kind of
I
sounds kind of like our
say
Mr. Rogers or everybody's Mr. Rogers.
It's
A little
it's
bit.
similar. His show was for kids and they would come up. It was a showcase. They would sing, they would perform.
Mhm.
He would interview them. It was the cutest thing ever. So my grandma watched that. I watched that. Um, Captain Noah was another one for me. Um, Fraggle Rock,
Yeah,
Pee-wee's
Fraggle Rock. Oh yeah.
Playhouse.
Oh yeah. Pee Wee.
I was a big Pee-wee girl. Yeah, I
There's are
love it.
those are iconic. Those are classics.
Yep.
I did take a listen to one of the more recent episodes, and you touched in this particular one on just getting outside of your peer group and meeting people outside of your circle as a way to invest in our personal growth. And I absolutely get the logic behind that. That is fabulous. That's wonderful advice. I'm trying to take it. I'm trying to learn it. But what I'm wondering is how does the introvert or the person who's like terrified of making a mistake socially initiate that? What would your advice be on that?
Oh, I will say this. When you will not realize how less judgmental successful people are than people who are kind of like level with you. So
Okay.
like if you're an introvert and you're in a space in a place where people are, you're setting out to aspire, whatever, you're aspiring to do whatever it is that you want to do. So plug that in, right? So you're in this space and people are already doing that thing. They're 3, 5, 7, 12 steps ahead of that game. They're successful in their game. Those people are the most open and most vulnerable because they know the success that you achieve through being open and vulnerable, keeping it real, putting your
Yeah.
problems out there. That's how you're going to get solutions. So they're very open and they're very understanding that you're just learning, right? It's okay to be like, hey, listen, I know nothing about this, but I want to learn. So can you tell me something, right? Like a lot of people hold back because they're afraid of looking or sounding stupid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you surround yourself with people who are already doing the thing, they know what it feels like because they've already been through what you're now embarking on. So they're more open and understanding and less judgmental than, say your friend or your family member who may not understand, those steps that you're willing to take. Because let's face it, a lot of things that we aspire to do are sometimes outside of the comfort zone of, you know, a lot of people. And if they haven't done it, it's hard for them to put themselves in your shoes and then give you the permission that, quite honestly, you should be giving yourself.
Period. I'm glad I recorded this because I'm gonna play that back for myself. Honestly, because I mean, it's easy to get intimidated. So I think
Yep.
starting with someone that you perceive as your equal is fantastic advice. That takes the pressure off a little bit, makes it a little bit easier.
Right. Right. Yeah. But you will come to find out, like that when you're setting out to do something. And I found this out the hard way. I've had friends and family, and I would say, I'm thinking of, starting a coaching business, or I'm going to start
Hmm.
this podcast. They would like give me every reason in the book not to do the thing. Now, you
Oh
may
God.
have somebody in your life who is like unconditionally supportive. Like, yes, I can totally see that for you. But a lot of times, especially when it comes to things like that, like what we're doing, right? It's hard for people to be like, yeah, go ahead, do that because it scares them,
Well, they don't
right?
always know. They don't always know what's
Right,
involved, and public speaking, all they see is the public speaker. And I think
right.
a lot of people subconsciously have that fear in itself,
Oh, yeah,
regardless of whether you or somebody you love is involved. They're just terrified of public speaking, so they're like, "Well, I wouldn't do it, so I wouldn't want you to do it." And
right,
then they spread that bad negative juju that can sometimes be a downer, but if you kind of understand where they're coming from in that regard, you might understand it a little bit, but
right,
still,
right.
it is a bit of a downer when you hear it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Yeah. So, it's just find community. I'm big on community. Find
Mhm.
community of people who are already into doing the thing, who can support you the way that you need to support it, your ideas, your moments where you're like, I don't know shit about shit, but can you help me out? Because those are the ones that are really going to like take you by the hand and make sure that you succeed in those moments when, let's face it, yeah, this is like, it's you versus you, but I'm all about, support and community. And there are times where you do need those people in order for you to succeed.
I'm loving your voice is just comforting right now because it's taking me back
Oh,
and it's taking me home. And I'm like,
thank
I'm sitting
you.
here in Minnesota and like getting a little bit nostalgic for home at the minute. Well, like when I'm hearing news and I'm hearing, go ahead, make your dreams happen. Bum. Like just
I love that.
the phrasings. I'm like, I cherish it. I really, really do. What do you think makes just Pennsylvania so fun and so unique and a great place to grow up?
Oh, gosh.
Loaded, I
The
know.
culture, the
Yeah.
diversity, especially in Philly. And I love that you brought that up about my voice too, because there was a time when I was like afraid to like,
I had to change mine when I did radio. They wanted me to ditch my accent. They
yeah, I'm like,
wanted I'm like,
that's
excuse me, like unless I was local, unless I stayed local, I'll put it to you that way. For this is a little bit inside baseball for anybody that doesn't really know the inside of radio, but they want you to be extremely neutral unless you are local to wherever it is you're in. Like unless you're in the same market. Like if
yeah,
I grew up in Pittsburgh and I was working in Pittsburgh, they would be fine with me keeping whatever Pittsburghese I had left. But if you go somewhere else, they want you to just be completely neutral. So I sort of had to lose it. I had to like enunciate cloud and cloudy and not cloudy and about and Haas and down.
right.
And like where you probably
I
completely
yeah,
understood what I just said, but
my
they
brain.
didn't.
Yeah. Like towel. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting a bath. Let me get a towel
Get it. Yeah. Or the color,
instead of
the
towel.
color, color, not Keller, but
Oh,
the
oh yeah.
Keller over there. The
Yep.
window. It's the window. It's
The
not the
window.
window.
Monday,
Like
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah.
exactly. But so those are the kinds of things that like I actually had bosses say, "Ooh, you need to change that." And I was like, "Ugh." So I feel like I lost a little bit. It's weird. It's like I lost a little bit of home.
Right. No, I don't know if I would be able to do that. Like that's what I love about being like where I'm from is like the uniqueness. Like me and my friends were just in Colorado and
Mhm.
everybody the minute we spoke to them were like, "Where are you guys from?" And I'm like, we were like, "We're from Philly," right? Like it's just that to me it's like that sense of pride of this is where I'm from, but I have to be honest, like one time I was afraid to use that because I thought to myself, who's going to take this girl with this thick Philly accent seriously? And I was in a
Mhm.
room on a social audio app, and Glenn Morshower, he's an actor. He's been in various movies. He was in movies with, oh my God, I'm the worst with like actors' names. Denzel Washington,
Mm.
was in The Walking Dead. So I was like talking, he was in there talking about something, and I said, that I was hesitant about becoming a speaker because of this accent. He was like, "Your accent is what makes you you. That's what's going to
Yeah.
make you stand out." Right?
Mhm.
So that's just a part of myself and where I come from that enables me to stand out. And now I brand myself as the hype woman from Philly because I love everything that Philly is. I love the history, the diversity,
Yeah.
the, inclusion, everything, and the nostalgia, the sports rivalries, so it is who I am. I bleed green, Eagles all the way.
We can leave it
uh,
there. We can leave that
yeah,
there.
well, we won't,
Well,
we'll talk
we
about that
won't-
another time.
we-
But I love it's such a great, I always, you know, I always say everyone should have an experience of like living in the city and just getting a taste of what that's like. It has its
yeah.
downs, it has its negatives, but the positives shine through for sure.
Yeah, there's benefits to leaving home too. I mean, of course I miss it, and of course I miss the familiarity, I miss the nostalgia.
Yeah.
In my case, I miss sometimes being around people that are ethnically similar to me. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of Italian Americans here. Like,
Right.
so I miss that part of it. I miss the Italian restaurants, I miss the food, I miss
Oh, the
the
food.
fact oh
Oh,
girl,
the
yes.
food.
The food. We have the food down. We have the food down. But or I miss the ability to being able to like be a little louder and talk with my hands
Mm.
and and not
We're
have
too
that scare
fast.
somebody.
We're too
We,
fast for people too.
we, well, that too. I've heard that too. They're like, "Why are you
Hmm.
speaking so fast?" And to me, I don't even comprehend that.
Right.
It's just
Same.
it's so I miss those things, but I'm glad that I gained different perspectives by leaving home and looking at, well, what other parts of the US, what are they concerned about? What's on their mind? There's a
Yeah.
reason why some parts are red and some parts are blue, so to
Mm.
speak. Getting,
Hmm. Yeah.
just that type of concept. And it's eye-opening and it's interesting and it helps me take note and it kind of helped me be a little bit more comfortable when it comes to being around things that I'm not so familiar with. Because it's like, oh, okay, I've done it before and I'm dipping my toe in the water. And no, it's not the most comfortable thing ever, but I can do it. And I
Right.
think anybody needs to learn that because that
Yeah.
helps with whatever goal they want to pursue. I know
Yeah.
you agree with that.
Oh yeah. Having experience, it gives you or the experience to travel and live in different places and even visit different places. It gives you a totally different perspective on life, taking yourself out of your box of where you live. There's people that, you go down the south, it's very more slow paced and
Different.
people are polite and strangers wave hi to you and you're like, "Why is that person waving hi?" And they're like, "They're being a kind human." And you're like, "Oh, is that
You're
what
like,
that's
are
at?"
they? Because where we're from, are they going to rob me? Are they trying to get information? Are they
Yeah.
following me and like assessing my schedule so that they can
Yep.
hit me later? Like
Yep.
that's where our head goes. Because
Yep. Yeah, like worst possible case scenario. We
right,
don't mean to do it. It's just that's our reality.
it's
But,
it's
it's nice to get like an all-encompassing view of the world, you know?
it is. It definitely helps. I love the names that you have for your fans too and your followers. We got the boobies, we got the girlfriends. Oh my god, were you always a creative person? Because that takes some creativity to come up with
Yeah.
fun names like that.
Yeah. I kind of just like go, it's when I don't know I really can't explain what happens in this head of mine, but I sometimes I just go with it. I'm like, that's great. Like Booby was birthed from a moment when I was in a room with my girlfriends and, we're all like, hey, boo. That's usually how we address one another. Like, hey, boo, what's
Uh-huh.
up? And there was multiple because there was like four of them in the room when I walked in and my
Okay.
mind went plural for boob. For boo
You
is booby.
it's
Like, that's just where it went, and I was like, "Hey,
okay.
boobies." And, we're women, we all have boobies. So, it kinda just
That got a
went
laugh.
there,
Yeah.
and now I always say, "Hey, boobies," and that's my thing. And, the girlfriend thing, yeah, I love tapping into my creative. I've always been a creative bug, and, it's my outlet, when I'm stressed or
Mm.
feeling stuck, just really getting in and like I like to do like paintings or whatever I can really get my hands on that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I think lowering our stress helps us it helps us clear our head so that we're able to be a little bit more perceptive when it comes to another thing going on in our life or just life in general.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that maybe helps when it comes to accountability. Like if you're less stressed, you're more aware, you can hold yourself accountable. You seem to be a person who absolutely will hold yourself accountable. And that's not a skill everybody has. How did you hone that skill? How did you get comfortable holding yourself accountable?
Mm. I honestly, it goes back to that moment in my life where I realized, like, wait a minute, am I the one that's really supposed to be in control here? And I've been giving my power away to so many people, So with that realization, you realize that you have responsibility of your own life and how you want to live it. And holding yourself accountable is a part of that, so you're able to reach success. And I think, when it comes to accountability in certain things in life, you really have to have like a sense of who you are, right?
Mhm.
Like, what are your core values that you hold on to through every situation in life? And when you really have those, then you can hold yourself accountable to showing up and showing out within that, realm of doing you the way that you do you.
Yeah. And it probably helps you become a more compassionate person overall if you're taking care of yourself first and
Oh
acknowledging
yeah.
your own feelings first. Cause that's something that I struggle with. Definitely a big people pleaser. I will do anything and everybody for anybody who asks before I will do a damn thing for myself. Like
Mm.
that is the worst. Have you struggled with that? How did you get over with that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I was like poster child for people pleaser. Like,
Mm,
you know, um, it's deciding to, well, for me, it came from the realization of realizing that people pleasing my way through life got me nowhere. And
true.
I went down all these avenues of what I thought was meant for me, but really I was living my life through the expectations of other people and what I thought that they thought I should be
Mhm.
in order to have that feeling of that sense of pride, like making other people feel proud when in reality I should be making myself feel that way, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember like thinking to myself, do I want to be like on my deathbed saying to myself, well, you know what? I'm glad I lived my life to please this one and that one. Like,
Yeah.
is that a feeling of fulfillment? No. And I went down all these avenues and shit was just not clicking for me. Like, I went to
That's
nursing school right out of high school. I went into the police academy, probably shouldn't go in the police academy if you're 300 pounds. What else did I do? I just went down all these avenues of what I thought I should be instead of really just tapping in here within myself and saying, why don't we just live life for ourselves, So it's all about just living, putting yourself first, pouring into you first, and realizing, a lot of times we can grow up with that strong influence from, our parentals or whoever raised
Mhm.
us. And you have to look at it like, yeah, they're your parent or they're your guardian, but they're also a person too. And maybe they're putting all this pressure on me to do something because they didn't have the balls to do it themselves. So now they're
Ooh.
putting that on me so that they have a sense of feeling fulfilled through my
Mhm.
achievements. That's not my job. It's
Yeah.
not my job to make your life feel fulfilled. That's for you and it's for me.
Right. And in turn, don't expect anybody else to do that for you.
Right.
You fulfill yourself. I mean, definitely there's people out there that struggle with the same thing, but lots of great reminders here. What is next for you? What can we look forward to coming from you?
Oh my gosh, I have so many amazing things coming up. What do I have coming up? Well, be sure to stay tuned for season 4 Unzipped. You can check me out
Yes.
on all listening platforms. If you want to tap into my craziness, you can check me out on TikTok. It's Amanda YOA. What else? I'm on Instagram, amandayoa.official. I'm working currently on a program for any aspiring podcasters. I've gotten to a point where I want to pay it forward. So I'm putting a program together, which I'll be launching probably in November. For anybody who's aspiring to, start a show and they're like, I don't know shit about shit, as I mentioned earlier.
Right. There are people, everybody has been there once.
Right.
Everybody has been there once.
Surround yourself, like I said, with those people who were 3, 5, 7 steps ahead of the game. So holler at your girl. I'll have that I don't even have a name for the program yet, but if you link on to my Instagram, you'll have all the deets in real time. And I want to mention too, if anybody's into the social audio apps, I'm
Mhm.
big on Chatter, which has changed my life tremendously with connection, collaboration, so many opportunities on there. I'm going to be hosting my after show on there, which will be audio and video. So that'll be a fun time. Everyone can join in and be a part of the conversation live. So make sure you check that out. It just popped off in the stores. I don't know what it is. What's it for Google? The Play Store?
Yeah, Google Play. Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, Google Play, and then it's in the Apple Store. It's Chatter Social. So check that out.
Fine. So many good things. Amanda, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your advice. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your energy. We love it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, girl.